So, with the sap rising at the moment, we've already had a look at how we can make take the bark off of willow to make the whistles. What we're going to look at just now is actually how to remove a larger section of bark and get the basis of a little basket. So I've already got my my branch there. It's about a little bit thicker, or thinner rather than wrist thick. I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to score a line as straight as I can down the length of this branch here. What I've opted for is a piece, it doesn't have too many side branches, so it's fairly smooth. This one's come off our pond. It's a little bit, it's been in the shade quite a bit, and it looks like we get these little willow aphids. It's a little bit pockmarked. I don't know if that's got anything to do with the bugs themselves, or if it's just an older branch. But it's going to give the outside of the basket a bit of a texture. Now, what I've got to help me is this little branch here. I'm going to sharpen it to a bit of a chisel point, and what that's going to give me is a little edge that I can ease underneath the bark, between the bark and the branch itself, just to help pry away the bark. Try and get that off. So ideally I want to get this off in one complete piece to make my basket. Of course, if it starts to crack, there we go, that's not great. So I'm just going to ease that spud with a sharpened stick underneath, in between the branch and the bark. Slide that along. I'll just nip up, give you a little bit of a close up, see what we're doing. So just underneath there. Oh, there's loads of, you can tell, but it's soaking wet. Plenty of sap in there. I'm just gently easing away the bark so as not to crack it or pop any holes in it. So I'm just going to gradually work that open until we've got one complete sheet. Now it's come away a little bit, I can get my fingers under there and just gently work around any little knots or lumps in the wood. Start on the other side as well. Take your time. Don't rush it, and it will come away. Just how good come down, so it might get loud in a moment. It's coming away nicely. So, of course, the diameter of the branch is a bit of an indicator of how big our basket's going to be. So the diameter, the circumference of that branch is going to be half of the circumference of our finished basket, which, when you fold it over, end up kind of looking like so. But to get a nice sort of fold on the bottom, what I'm going to do is gauge where the middle is, kind of roughly there. I'm going to just scratch out a little eye shape. So that's going to give us, it's going to help us fold the bark in the shape that we want. Mark off our middle point, conveniently, just happens to be around two little knots, two little eyes in the bark. And what I'm doing is I'm just taking off the outer sort of green of the bark, leaving that inner cambium layer, which is kind of the main structure of the basket. It's going to allow us to fold and have a bit of a flat bottom in the basket. So I'll just bring that up, and you see what I've done. I'm just taking that outer bit of bark off, leaving the inner, the strength to the basket still intact. Just do the other side. Now I'm just kind of eyeballing this, but you could get maybe a compass or a bit of a template may help, just to give you as symmetrical a finish as you can. Put the knife away. And what I'm going to do now is use those scored marks to help fold this bottom of the basket there to give me that flattened shape. It's going to help me form the finished product. So now I've got the rough shape. That's it started. I want to leave it for a couple of days to dry out into that shape. But if I leave it like that, you'll notice the ends are just going to curl up. So what I want is something for it to form round. That may be a tad on the small side. There we can form that round it, wrap it round there, get that sealed up nice and tight, so as it dries it's not going to curl in on itself, and we'll end up with fairly uniform bend. So what I need to do now is embark off a project from the other day. Still a little bit moist, so we've got some clay in it. Just going to lash that in place round our form, round our shape. Like a clove hitch in there. Do another one down the bottom, and then that's going to help form it over the next couple of days, and once it's dried we'll come back out and have a look at how we're going to stitch it together.